Welcome to Istanbul in Turkey, a dynamic city on the Bosphorus playing host to round 6 of the World Offshore Powerboat Championship in association with the Tourism Ministry of Turkey. A perfect world-class location for this exhilarating World Championship. Looking back at round 5 in Oslo, this is Ken Thorne and Matteo Niccolini in World of Cars. A truly appalling crash, leaving half of the boat at the bottom of a fjord. But fortunately, Thorne and Niccolini are unhurt, and the boys are very much back in town, with Thorne hooking up with Jan Hilstad in Jota, temporarily replacing Andreas Ugland.
Just a different boat that runs a lot faster. Turns different, it's just a completely different animal. Like two different stallions, entirely different.
Niccolini is driving for flamboyant Eduardo Polli in Highlander.
The guy is a professional, the guy is a perfect driver. I mean, he can throttle, he can drive, I mean, no problem whatsoever, very good.
Earlier this season in round 4 in Arundel, Victory 1 had been disqualified for an infringement in the muster area. However, Kalfan Harib and Ali Nasser's disappointment has been replaced with elation as their appeal has now been upheld and the 20 points reinstated for first place. Their position at the top of the championship becomes more dominant, ahead of Jolly Motor and Spirit of Norway. Victory 1 would appear to be in a class of its own.
I want to break a lot of records. I'm looking forward to break a couple of records this year. You know, that's why I'm going to have pressure on me, not from the other competitors, only just pressure from inside of me, you know, just
from Kalfan himself.
Yeah.
This is the home Grand Prix for Isik, a rising star in Istiklal.
We are always trying to stay within the first 5. So I think by the end of this season we'll be through with this one and we'll try to get ourselves a new boat.
But the Victory team will be very hard to beat.
If it stays between the Victory team boats, we like it that way. That's how we want to keep it. We're getting some better setups now. Hopefully we'll do better today.
I don't know if he's in Alpha to catch Kalfan. I think he's not in Alpha. They're pretty fast. Both those boats are really, really fast.
They're sort of the McLaren and the Ferrari rolled into one.
As the boats head out for the time trial, this is how the time trial leadership board looks. It's Victory 1 out in front by 20 points from Victory 7 with Al Mari and Al Taya aboard, Jolly Motor and Spirit of Norway, and World of Cars are in 3rd, 4th and 5th respectively. There'll be a lot of Turkish eyes on Istiklal with Isik and Philip Benamou aboard. But first of all, Russ, let's take a look at the course.
A 3.43 nautical mile oval course by the pits. With the lattered turn, you can see underneath this spectacular suspension bridge over the Bosphorus, and it's Highlander out on its first run.
Absolutely, and a new pairing, of course, with Matteo Niccolini driving and Eduardo Polli, his teammate and countryman, on the throttle.
Another diesel engine boat here. Victory 1, of course, diesel. Highlander could be expected to do well, just coming past the boy there at the pit turn.
And here's Istiklal out on the water with Isik and Benamou, and what a lovely position they're in. They seem to have the boat perfectly set up.
Inside the cockpit now, you can see Benamou working away at the wheel there. Very tiring. A separate cockpit you can see on the other side. Isik trimming the boat and looking after the throttles.
Highlander about to post the first time of the day, and it's 1 minute 58.76 seconds, and that is pretty swift. They'll be well chuffed with that.
Jotun there out on its first run, but we catch up with Isik and Philip Benamou as they come through to try and beat the time of Highlander.
That's 18.5 seconds of difference behind Highlander, so at the moment it is the new pairing of Highlander out there, but we wait to see what Jotun will do out on the water. Ken Thorne, of course, driving with Jan Hilstad of Norway on the throttle.
Ken Thorne here taking over from Andreas Ugland, who at the moment has a bad back. Ken Thorne may be in place for Marmaris. Let's see if Jotun can clip that time of Highlander.
Not a bad job for a new pairing, 12 seconds behind Highlander, but ahead of Istiklal. Jolly Motor out in the water, Shell Roque and Jim Dyke, Norway and USA, and of course Victory 1. These are the ones everyone will be chasing. C-Tech diesel engines, Kalfan Harib and Ali Nasser aboard. Jolly Motor Let's see how quickly they can run. They're looking good. Can they actually replicate this with a decent time? 6 seconds just off the pace behind Highlander. Jolly Motor first run for Roque and Dyke. They'll be pretty pleased with that. So first 4 out, Highlander, Jolly Motor, Jotun and Issy Claire.
But this is what everyone will be watching. It's Victory 1 coming down the home straight now towards the timing beam. Can they do it? All the money would suggest they can. Let's see what Kalfan and Ali Nasser have got up their sleeve.
Oh, by nearly 3 seconds, which is no mean feat, because this is a shorter, tighter course, and they've got the heavier boat with the bigger C-Tech diesel engines. So they're out in front ahead of Highlander, Jolly Motor third, and Jotun fourth.
This is Victory 7, the petrol-driven sister boat to Victory 1. Let's see what she can do.
Altair and Al-Mari looking good. Could they get a 1-2? They've been pushing for this all season, be it here in the time trials or in the main championship race. And they have indeed. This is remarkable, consistent racing. 2.5 seconds, nearly 3 behind their sister boat, Victory 1. So it's a brace of victories out front. Highlander third and Jolly Motor fourth.
Well, it's Highlander now out on its second run to see if it can claim that first place back. You can see the boys from Victory 1 were just sitting on top of their boat. It's Jim Dyke and Shell Roque in the pits now, changing their propeller pitch to see if that will make any difference.
They'll be keen to get back out on the water any moment now, Jolly Motor. But as we speak, look at that, that's Highlander, that's a spin. The new pairing of Polly and Nicolini maybe just pushing a bit too hard. Polly, he's a throttle man who likes to give it plenty of gun, and on this occasion, they just overdid it.
This is Bjorn Yeltsin and Steve Curtis in Spirit of Norway. Now, psychology seeming to play a big part in time trials. These guys have left their runs to later in the day. Let's see what they can do.
Oh, and not a bad first run. It's fourth place behind the Victory boats and Highlander. And Jolly Motor purrs out into the Bosphorus for another run. These space-age craft, they're glorious-looking boats. The Spirit of Norway giving it everything out on the water.
Now this is interesting. Ali Nasser and Kalfan Harib just sitting it out. They know they've posted a quick time, and I don't think they're going to run again unless somebody beats them.
Roque and Dyke cranking it up on the water. They'll want to post a good one here, and Jolly Motor just coming out in readiness for its final run. But they're all pursuing the Victory boats. Can Spirit of Norway do it? Not a bad attempt in second place. 1.5 seconds adrift from Victory 1 has overtaken Victory 7. Roque and Dyke out on the water. Jolly Motor pushing hard. Can they do what's necessary? It's going to be some race if they can. They've got a lot to catch up on the Victory boats, but looking great in the water. And sadly, 2.5 seconds behind Victory 1, taking fourth place. So it is Victory 1, Spirit of Norway, Victory 7, and Jolly Motor in fourth. On top of the podium, yet again, Kalfan Harib and Ali Nasser, throttleman and driver of Victory 1. They are a massive 28 points ahead of their compatriots, Victory 7, with Jolly Motor in third, Spirit of Norway fourth, Highlander fifth, and World of Cars sixth. Huge crowds are gathering, and it's a beautiful day on the Bosphorus, but this river has hidden dangers.
Bosphorus is different. You have the tide going in and out there.
The current is very strong.
And then suddenly you just find some waves and you're up in the air, so it's a little bit tricky.
It's going to be a high-speed course, very hard to pass. So the strategy is just to jump in front, you know, in the beginning.
I think whoever makes that pin first will be in good shape for the rest of the race.
But you jump in front and you protect your position.
There'll be a push and shove there a little bit. We put Kalfan in the center and we crash Kalfan.
Disregard that comment completely. We'll put the two of them in the middle and the two of them 1 and 7.
Will be there, number 1.
Well, there's no doubt everyone wants to be out front when they get to that first bend. And who is going to stop the Victory boats?
The boats are in the muster, ready for the start of the Turkish Grand Prix. This is the course. On the first lap, they go straight from pit turn down to bridge turn, returning via the Castle Bend. But on the second lap, they approach the infamous Curtis Bend. This is where it gets its name from. Last year, Steve Curtis overturning the boat, but Bjorn Yeltsin and Steve miraculously getting out unhurt.
That is an incredible shot, but they're both here today, which is marvellous. We're following the starter's boat. The yellow flag's up. We're waiting for the green one to go. When that goes up, the Turkish Grand Prix is underway, which it now is. So let's save who's going to get to this first corner. That's the all-important one. Spirit of Norway making an early break. It is crucial to get to this bend. Everyone was talking about that. Spirit of Norway out in front. Where are the victory boats? I can't see them at the moment.
A spectacular view here, Nigel. You can look down the Bosphorus, just seeing how the boats are weaving and cutting across each other's wake.
Absolutely. You can see everyone jockeying for position. It's crucial to get fresh water wherever possible. You don't want to be following someone else's churned up wake. Well, that is one of the victory boats there, out on the left.
That's Victory 7. It's Victory 7, actually, appears to be taking the lead as they come into the Curtis Bend. Victory 7, but it's Jolly Motor coming through there.
Absolutely. It's Roque and Dyke hammering out there. They're going down, down towards the Curtis Bend. They will be pushing as hard as they can. 4 boats out there, sorry, 5 doing all the initial running.
A fantastic race here in the offing, on board with Highlander, coming up alongside Spirit of Norway, into his wake, very dangerous.
Absolutely, you can see the hazard then as the water comes rushing over the cockpit. You're in big trouble, you're momentarily blind. And it's now to a bridge turn, halfway through lap 1, and Jolly Motor we can see there, pushing, Kjell Roque and Jim Dyke. But in hot pursuit, we've got Spirit of Norway and a whole host of others.
A wonderful top shot here. It's actually Victory 7 in second place. Spirit of Norway closing the gap on him though, and Jolly Motor there pushing out in front. It's very difficult to overtake on this course. They're all looking for the fast line.
Norway and USA aboard, Jolly Motor out there in front. They'll be aware of the difficult currents that all the drivers and throttlemen were talking about before, but at the moment they are set up beautifully.
Now the news of course is that Victory 1 must have had a very bad start. They're not even in the frame at the moment, so these guys out front will be taking advantage as they go past the Castle Bend.
Absolutely, they cannot believe their luck at the moment. Harib and Nasser, they ain't in the frame, which is probably one of the first times this season that has been the case. So they're making the most of it. Great racing at the moment, very, very close. Jolly Motor out in front of Victory 7, and Spirit of Norway is coming past Victory 7 as we speak. They're really putting the foot to the floor. End of lap 1, Roque and Dyke, Jolly Motor first, Spirit of Norway second, Victory 7 third, and Highlander doing really well with that new pairing of Edoardo Poli and Matteo Nicolini in 4th place. The Italian team are doing well.
But in 6th place you can see Victory 1 there. I'm sure that they'll be making an impression on the lead later in the race. Back at the front, you can see Jolly Motor being pushed by Victory 7, and it's Spirit of Norway just trying to come back into second.
Jolly Motor literally flying over the water. What a great shot. They will really be trying to put some distance between themselves and Victory 7, who are behind them, but not by very far. Where's Victory 1 at the moment? That's what I want to know. 3rd place, it's Spirit of Norway, going for an interesting racing line, just slightly further out than Victory 7, coming up to the Curtis Bend. And how tight are they taking this? Absolutely crucial at this stage.
Good point there. You could see Steve Curtis there being squeezed by Victory 7 on that buoy. Maybe they were a bit scared in Norway because they know what's happened there before.
Well, if you're going to be flipping over the water like you were last year, there's no doubt that will be in the back of your mind. It has to be. Oh, and look at this. That is Highlander there. Great shots on board, but they are pushing, and a remarkable pairing, as I say. Nicolini and Poli, this is their first race together. And how tight was that? And as you can see, the spray coming over them. Victory 1 just gently coming up through the field. You can't write them off at this stage, not at all.
I think you're right there, Nigel. Victory 1 are cruising gently up to approach the leading pack as they take the bridge turn.
Obviously, Harib and Nasser had a poor start. There might have been some technical problems, but there's some cool customers. You can see now the propellers, they're churning it all up. All the boats are giving it everything, but they've got a long way to go. It's a 14-lap race. Jolly Motor, Victory 7, Spirit of Norway and Highlander the front 4. But with a race like this, people will be wanting to retain something, because you push your boat too hard and you're going to be blowing up and retiring before you know it. Coming towards the end of lap 2, that's another 12 still to go. It is Jolly Motor out in front. Victory 7 second, Spirit of Norway 3rd, Highlander 4th, and coming up through the field, it's Victory 1, who we know are in 5th position, They've overtaken Riviera, and Sinclair looking great in 8th position. Again, will be very aware that they're on home turf, but they won't want to overextend the boat too early on. Jolly Motor looking great out front.
But Jolly Motor will be aware that they've had gearbox problems all year, and their reliability must be in question. But reliability will not be an issue with Victory 7.
Spirit of Norway thumping through the waves there, desperate to hang on to 3rd place. Highlander in 4th. Lots of fresh water out ahead of them, a new pairing.
But back in 5th and looking very sinister is Victory 1, closing the gap on that leading pack. I don't think it'll be long before they start to challenge Highlander.
You can see how tight this bend is here. It really, there's very little in it, those first 3 or 4 boats. One little slip and you're out the game. Victory 1 now in 4th place at the end of lap 3. They're just cruising through the field. They won't be getting too panicked at this stage. They've seen it all before. They've had enough victories this season to realise that the way that this race can work out. Jolly Motor still out in front, pushing hard. Victory 7 in 2nd place and Spirit of Norway in 3rd.
Just to give you an idea, these boats will be approaching 170 miles an hour. And remember, that's on water. It's incredibly dangerous.
Slightly further back in the field, in 6th place, it's the Australian duo Bill Barry-Cotter and Keith Hansen in Riviera. And in 7th, Jotun, the new pairing of Ken Thorne and Jan Hilstad of Norway.
A great onboard shot there. You could see them chasing Riviera in front of them, getting incredibly close. The battle is on.
In 8th place, it's Isik and Benamou in Istanbul, 22, and in 9th, Binautica, 55. This is Istanbul 23, a guest boat. It's only taking part in this one particular race, and now LA Jeans is in 11th behind it.
And the only retirement that we've had so far is Binautica 5.
And rejoining the leaders on lap 7, it's Jolly Motor out in front, Spirit of Norway just 2nd, and that boat to the right of it, it isn't Victory 7, that is Victory 1. After that slow start, they've pulled their way through the whole of the field and are now just easing into 2nd place. Harib and Nasser have raced brilliantly.
Now the worry for Jolly Motor out front and for Spirit of Norway will be the fact that they're going to have to take risks to try and keep Victory 1 behind them, and that means burning parts.
Victory 1 pushing out to the right, looking for the best racing line it can get into the... Look at this as it pulls up on Jolly Motor. This is remarkable. Where Harib has found the extra power from, I don't know, but he's just brilliantly moved past Jolly Motor.
I would say Victory 1 has at least 15 miles an hour extra speed on the straight than these petrol engine boats.
The C-Tech diesel has come good. It's taken them 7 laps and they've got another 7 to go. So it is all about reliability. Jolly Motor being pushed out wide on the corner. Victory 1 taking the better racing line. Again, edging forward. So at the end of lap 7, it is Victory 1 in 1st place. Jolly Motor in 2nd. Spirit of Norway 3rd. And Victory 7 is now in 4th.
But you can see Spirit of Norway coming between the 2 boats now. It's all about taking risks on the bend. Everyone will be aware now that to keep Victory 1 in their sights, they've really got to put the hammer down.
Interesting racing lines there for the 3 different boats. Victory 1 pushing on ahead. They'll have been using quite a lot of their diesel fuel and make them lighter in the water now. So maybe with their propeller selection earlier on, this is what they've chosen to do, but it's been clever stuff. Oh, look at Jolly Motor bouncing around there. A little bit of a wake from Victory 1 will have done that. And also, we have talked about these difficult currents that are in the Bosphorus. Everyone will have to be aware of those. You cannot relax for one moment.
Well, as you say, the power-to-weight ratio is important on these boats. Victory 1 will be getting lighter. The engines are equally as powerful, and so I don't think there's going to be any looking back. As they come to the bridge bend, you can see in the left-hand corner, Spirit of Norway almost spinning out there. That would have lost them valuable time. Bjorn Yelchin, Steve Curtis, I think they may have a problem with Spirit of Norway. Let's find out in a minute, but it's still Victory 1 out front.
Yes, Harib and Nasser really will be making the most of the misdemeanors of Spirit of Norway, and that doesn't look good. What's happening there, Russ?
Well, I think they may have gearbox problems. There's something distinctly wrong with that boat. It's unfortunate, but I think that Spirit of Norway may be out.
But Victory One is now really clattering through the gears. What a great lead it's opened up. The other boats will just be trying to hang in there. Jolly Motor in second place, 9 seconds adrift, and Victory 7, 16 seconds behind its compatriots, Victory One. And Jotun there in 5th place. So it's all to do. Spirit of Norway obviously dropping back now.
A fantastic view of the Bosphorus. A perfect place for racing and a perfect place for spectating.
And for Victory One, by the looks of it, they had a slow start. They've worked their way through the field. They're in a commanding position now. And with the experience that these two have on board, they won't be letting that slip. They'll be making it even more telling.
But the race is on for second place. Jolly Motor here, fighting with Victory 7. It seems to be getting closer as he comes through the Curtis Bend.
And look at that for the spectators. It was absolutely brilliant shots as they come past. We're on the final lap. We're on the bridge turn. Victory One is out in front. And Victory 7 is dicing well with Jolly Motor in second place. But at the moment, Harib and Nasser, they won't be looking too much in their rear mirrors. They're just going hard for the line. And yet another victory.
An incredible run of success for Victory One. A very professional team, very, very well funded. Very well turned out, and as you can see, Victory 7 does take second place as he comes through with Ishiclair 1 lap behind him in front of the camera.
It's 1 and 2 for the Victory team. Victory 1 and Victory 7 with Jolly Motor in third, C-Tech Diesel, and then Lamborghini petrol driven in second. Nasser and Harry take the full 20 points. Victory 7 with 15, Jolly Motor in third, and Highlander in fourth with the Italian pairing of Nicolini and Polly. Great racing here in Istanbul.
I'm looking forward, just to break my record, which set in 1993 when I won 4 races in a row. So I'm looking this year to win 5 races in a row.
We pushed hard. Mohammed did a fantastic job behind the wheel, passing, I think, Jolie at one of these laps that gave us some clear water, and then we were running.
We might have made a wrong propeller choice, but Shell did a great job driving, and the Victory guys are really fast, so we're happy with third.
Harib and Nasser lift for silverware again. Familiar scenes with Victory 7 out in second place. The championship is really being dominated by Victory 1. They're 32 points ahead of Jolly Motor and Spirit of Norway in third. So Jolly Motor and Spirit of Norway simply have to record some wins, and soon, if they're going to stop the progress of Victory 1. We've had a great weekend's racing here in Istanbul, and make certain that you join us in Marmaris. It's off the southern coast of Turkey for round 7, where Victory 1 could clinch the World Championship.